Those comments.
Of women.
That's no good. This
Come on, man.
Stealing your parents' credit card.
Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
To fruit basket.
I got a hangover, baby.
Let's go.
Oh God.
How are you feeling? I didn't know you were hungover.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you slept for quite a while.
Yeah,
but I wasn't. I didn't think it was a hangover. But then towards the end of the night, like, you seemed more drunk than I was, and I was like,
yeah.
oh.
I think I kept it going, and then like, then like I psychotically like went in the backyard and hung out with the dogs like at 5 a.m. before I fell asleep. So.
You came back in between the 2 trips you made downstairs to hang out with the dogs to tell me where you were. You're like, Bones, wake up.
Did I wake you? Like, I actually did that?
I don't think you woke me up like that, but you were like, because for some reason, we had a very strange, like, from about 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. was a very strange 12 hours for us.
When did your friend leave?
Do you not? He left at like 11.
And then
11:30.
What did we do after that?
We stayed up watching music videos of like Faith No More.
Which sounds exactly what I would do. Like, I would subject you to if I'm like really drunk. Yeah.
I did not know you were that you didn't.
Most people don't know.
You
really
wouldn't remember.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I'm surprised to hear that.
I'm good at hiding it.
That's really.
But yeah, I was very drunk, and I'm not like sick hungover. Like, I have a tiny bit of a headache, but like it just feels like my brain is suspended in liquid. It's just like.
Well, isn't it technically?
Yeah, but like more liquid than normal. Like, there is like
when water like actually makes contact with the brain, though, isn't that like a hydrocephalus? Isn't that like a? Isn't that?
I don't know. All I know is I have wet brain.
I have wet brain. Water on the brain.
I did too much of this.
Shower time, Adderall, a glass of whiskey, and diesel jeans.
We even started drinking before. We even started drinking before my friend came over.
Yeah,
which is funny.
And I
didn't even get close to finishing my first cocktail, and you were like on your second when he got here. I was like, oh.
And yeah, and then he brought over Franzia. Did I ever tell you about like the Tour de Franzia?
Tour de Franzia? No.
Yeah. So
no, please tell.
So when I was in college, oh my God. I'm thinking about drinking wine after drinking tequila cocktails, and it is making my whole body ache.
Which is what we did last night.
Which is such a mistake. That's a horrible.
Oh, I feel great today.
Well, fuck you then. So Tour de Franzia was there was like a frat house that would do this, but it was partly my idea because I'm a fucking sociopath. So what we do is you would put like a different. You would get like several box wines, like a Franzia, like, which I think is like 5-bottle equivalent, like, and typically like in these boxes of wines.
Yeah.
And we would get like, I think 10 of them and put like different types in each room. So like, you know, like one would be like the Merlot room, like one would be the cab room, like whatever.
Yeah.
One would be the white wine room, you know, so on and so forth. And so like, but you could not leave the room until you had drank an entire box like solo.
What?
Yeah. And so like by the end of it, you were like blacked out in the last room drinking. You had like
what?
In order to finish the tour, it was.
Did anybody finish?
I finished.
You are insane.
Yeah, people did for sure. Like, you know, whoever has like, you know, dirtbag Eastern European genes generally would finish the Tour de Franzia.
Yeah, cockroach people.
Exactly, but it was ugly.
That is awful.
It was ugly.
Did I ever tell you about Shot for Shot? And by the way, I have a friend here from the Poke Breakers, Steven. Welcome.
Hello, Steven.
First timer over on the Fruit Basket.
Which is a shame that this is the episode that it's his first time seeing because I'm fucking out of it.
I think I definitely told you about Shot for Shot a long time ago when I went to a liberal arts college that shall not be named, even though I still have the merchandise to wear for. Actually, I think I may have donated it.
Why can't you name it?
Because Hillary Clinton herself will come murder
She'll
me.
come kill you.
She's like, this is an institution that represents what America truly is. Yeah, I feel like she would be liberal arts institutions.
She'd pretend to be, for sure.
That's true. So I went to a school. I'll name it Bennington. Fuck it. And they allegedly had this party called Shot for Shot, and it was only an in-house party. I lived in a house with about 20 other people, all the same house. It was like a frat house, but it was co-ed. I actually had a roommate that was a girl, as people on the podcast probably know, but I had a girl roommate as I requested. So there was something called Shot for Shot, and it was you do one shot every. God, what was it? Every time the song changes, you do a shot.
Mm-hmm.
They were like half shots or whatever. It was like little shot glasses with plastic shot glasses with hole punches at about the 3/4 way mark around it, so you couldn't pour more than that much of a shot.
Okay.
In it. Basically, I did 17 of those shots. It was like however many shots you can do before midnight. I did 17.
Good Lord.
Blacked out at about 13. My roommate and I kept tabs on each other. Like she was at 16, I was at 16. We were like, all right, one more. We have to stay together and do this. And then afterwards, there was like a proper party at midnight at the house across the street. And we went. I thought I had lost my phone at that party. I actually left it in my room. But I thought I had lost my phone at that party. And the entire time I was crawling around the party floor, grabbing people's shoes, black shoes, because I thought it was my phone upside down because I had a black case. I was like, you're standing on my phone. The entire party. And then somebody took me home at like 1 a.m.
Is this
like,
like,
hey.
Didn't you say that when you were in college, they made like a cauldron of alcohol and they put NyQuil in it or something?
Oh,
crazy?
don't even get me started on Bacchanal.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's called Bacchanal.
That is so dangerous.
Oh yeah, I know. It was very bad. But there's
also like a lot of like acetaminophen and NyQuil. Like, so your liver just like took a fucking,
yeah.
Like
I was young. Who cares?
But you probably aged your liver by like 15 years.
Yeah, who cares? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I was but yeah, that was Bacchanal, and everybody was supposed to wear togas to the party. So I pulled the bed sheets off of my bed and wrapped it around myself like a
Why
toga.
is that?
And it was
thing?
like midwinter.
Is it like so like, you know, like, do we kind of harken with like college parties? Like, do we harken back to a Greek thing? So somebody might get their dick wet in a homosexual way, like because we're.
You know, I had never thought of it that way, but yes. So
Yeah.
Bacchanal is based on the god Bacchus, and Bacchanal had these big orgy-based parties that were filled with alcohol and drugs and whatever. So like he was known for that. So that's what this party was supposed to be. But basically, before the party, a few hours before the party, people who lived in the house that was hosting the party went to every single bedroom on campus and asked for whatever alcohol we had, and if we wanted to, we could throw in things like NyQuil or whatever. And they made 2 separate bedrooms in their house, one bedroom with a cauldron of basically just jungle juice, all the alcohol that they gathered, and another bedroom that had just a cauldron of the alcohol and any additional substances. And I accidentally went to the wrong room, and I got the robo-tripping room.
Oh, so was it Robitussin?
I think people put Robitussin
Oh,
in
that's
there,
fun.
and
That's real fun.
that's so bad for you, though.
Yeah, but NyQuil just make you pass out or black out. Robitussin, you can have a lot of fun. You know, in Minecraft.
In Minecraft, you can have a lot of fun on Robitussin.
In Minecraft, I would encourage people to drink an entire bottle of it. It's an interesting dissociative in Minecraft. God damn it.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
The parties there. There was another party that used to be called Dress to Get Raped. And that is well documented in Bret Easton Ellison's books, who also went to Bennington.
Did you say Ellison?
Bret Easton Ellis.
Yeah,
I think I
there
said
we go.
Ellison.
Yeah.
Bret Easton Ellis.
He wrote American Psycho.
He wrote
Lesson
American
Zero.
Psycho, Lesson Zero, and Rules of Attraction, I think is the name of the other one.
Yeah.
He's
a great writer.
I gave that book, The Rules of Attraction, to Yana.
Oh, okay.
I think she still has it. Because she talked about it last time. Great book.
Did she read it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like you with Alchemist. Like, so I'm wondering.
Takes forever for me to get through this book that my friend gave me. Yeah, I'm still reading Alchemist after like 4 months. But basically, there was a party called Dress to Get Laid at Bennington. Well, it's called Dress to Get Laid now, but it used to be called Dress to Get Raped, which is like
very problematic.
and that was like the 80s, dude.
Yeah.
And it only changed in like the 90s, I think. They changed it to Dress to Get Laid. I wasn't there for the party the year I was attending that school, because I was in Philadelphia actually getting laid otherwise. Just kidding. But the party, basically you literally wear nothing. You wear either nothing or you wear the most skimpy outfit you can possibly imagine. They take out all the furniture from the house. At least that's what they did for this party. Take out all the furniture from the house, like remove it, put it in bedrooms or wherever, lock the door. So it's just an empty house. And then they cover the walls and floors with newspaper. Like a fucking pig pen, a pigsty. And then they have like lights that are like red, or they had like red lights or whatever.
Okay.
And everybody was there like nude. That was the party.
Like actually naked?
Either nude or in skimpy outfits, yeah.
So,
this was a crazy school. It still is.
Well, yeah, I mean that you know, like I think that's like why like largely liberal arts students like leave these schools and like become woke or whatever, like because like,
of all the transgressions they made upon other people at these schools. They feel guilty.
Right. And it's like I think it's like why everybody that like, you know, like most people who attend these schools and then they turn into like some sort of justice warrior of some sort, like there's way more skeletons in their closet than like just the average person who sort of raises their eyebrow at you know, like woke takes or whatever. It's like, because like I've certainly not raped anybody or like would do anything that would be like misconstrued as rape.
The most woke people are often the most sexually depraved, and like I think like that definitely showed itself at these parties. Like even the fucking woke nerds were like, I have to wear a lace bralette to this party, and I have to look hot, and I have to get just drunk enough so that the one of the 400 dudes that goes to this school likes me back or whatever. Only 800 people went there when I was there.
Yeah, that's not very many people.
Everybody.
Yeah, of course. Steven called my vape a personal electronic nicotine inhalation system, and I like that. What's the acronym for that? It'd be a PENIS. That's a really clever joke. He called it a penis.
Yes. You actually did that over on Pokey Breakers.
Steven, you're a genius.
I was hoping you would catch that one.
You're a fucking you're a genius. And I am way too hungover to have gotten that immediately. But tip of my hat to you, sir.
Yeah. Oh, my penis.
A tip of my penis. My
Tip
penis.
of my penis.
Good fucking Lord.
Oh my god.
So, speaking of rape.
Oh god.
You love this,
Is this what it's come to?
YouTube channel called Game Grumps.
Game Grumps. I love the Game Grumps, yes.
Can you explain this story? Because I still don't understand what the issue is.
Okay. So the Game Grumps are a YouTube channel where they literally just play video games and commentate over them. It's more so like a podcast style thing, like what we were doing when we were playing Breath of the Wild last week. Game Grumps is that. They're funny, they're entertaining, they play frustrating games. The main person who plays the games gets very frustrated at them. It's hilarious. The co-host, Danny Sexbang is his stage name, which
is like so unfortunate.
I know.
That like he like, because then it's like people who are kind of bad faith actors that I don't know, sort of seem to take glee in canceling people.
Yeah.
Are exploiting something that was clearly tongue in cheek that he participated in, which like Ninja Sex Party was the name of the band or whatever.
Yeah, Ninja Sex Party is the name of Dan Avidan's band.
And they kind of play like Power Rangers music. Like, what do they do?
It is like, it's honestly like power pop. Like, it's actually like I think we came up with power synth pop a few years back. That like you and I made up that term, unless it already exists or whatever, for the music that you were making.
I think you called it Halloween pop. But I mean, like
Halloween pop is great, but they make like power synth ballads. It's like they do like sort of like 80s style power ballads for the most part. because that's the era he sort of grew up in and enjoys. But he recently was accused of grooming a 17-year-old.
Can we stop it with this grooming thing?
Hang on, let me
Yeah.
tell the story. He was accused of grooming this like 17-year-old girl who came forward on the subreddit or whatever the fuck of the Game Grumps subreddit, and like says that she went to a concert of his at 17 and a half years old. She met him at like a meet and greet. They didn't talk for like a year or two after that. She's now an adult. They begin talking. Things sort of turn kind of sexual, but she is an adult. Like, it gets kind of flirty. And this is all alleged or whatever. It gets kind of flirty, and then he starts telling her like very explicitly sexual things, like you should get in this tub with me, show me how you would ride me or whatever the fuck, or these screenshots or whatever. And at this point, when this is happening, she's 22. She's a 22-year-old adult female. She comes forth with these allegations. Everybody buys it right off the bat, of course. They're like, we've been waiting for him to be a sex offender.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, they were waiting to cancel him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I think he's just like a good person. He's too good of a person for people to like.
It's like when we talk about Markiplier, like,
Yeah.
like he's definitely dismembered somebody after.
Right,
Like,
right.
I mean,
Right.
there has to be something.
But
you know.
but at least he hasn't groomed anybody.
Well, God forbid. God forbid that nebulous, ridiculous term, you know.
But like they called it grooming because he met her at 17 and a half and didn't fuck her until 22. Like actually, I think they actually fucked at like 22 or whatever. But didn't have contact for like years. Basically though, 2 days later, the accuser comes forth and says it was all made up. Cool.
So that happened? I didn't know that part
that
of it.
thing that I showed you last night.
Oh, right.
I showed
Yeah.
you like a Reddit post, and it was just like, hey, so just so you know, like the accuser came forward and said it was not true.
Well, so what part of it wasn't true? That like they talked to like when she was 17 or whatever?
I guess so.
Because
yeah.
even then, it's like there are many states where 17 is a legal age
Right.
of consent. So I'm like, when this thing came out, I was like, I don't know. Like, so, I mean, like this exploded enough to where like it was on the front page of Reddit with like in the Out of the Loop subreddit where people were like, what is going on with this? Like, you know, why is this guy being called? And it's crazy because like this grooming thing, like this grooming term turns into this idea of like, if you get accused of grooming, then you're a predator. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do we not know what these terms mean anymore? Like,
Right.
It's like the word racism or whatever. Like these terms are meaningless now.
Yeah.
And like, what is it about your generation? No offense, that like, and also it's millennials. Like you know, like millennials, like, why do they want this stuff to be true so badly? Like why do people like Game Grumps like curating an audience? Why does a large like portion of the audience want to get rid of the people that host the thing they watch? Like I don't, because like what was the desired outcome of this? Like Dan gets fired from Game Grumps
and then the show ceases to exist, or
Right.
they find a new host who everybody's gonna hate.
Right, and then it's like, you know, because the same thing happened to one of the other hosts, this guy Jontron, who
Yeah.
did it before, like, who actually started the whole thing.
Yeah, he
And then-
did leave on his own volition, and it still is kind of unexplained. But later on, he like made unprepared comments about like racist things or whatever.
No, I mean, like, but he was just talking about like, basically, like what he was talking about was that like,
it was
you know,
crime statistics, wasn't it?
It was no, it was about, well, yeah, but it was about like how basically like Islam is an intolerant religion, which is like
well, he also said
objectively
he
true.
said more than he
No, I-
must have had many incidents.
I
there
heard all of
because,
it. Like, I mean, you know, like we live in this fucking psychotic world through which, like, if you give crime stats, like, it's an alt-right thing, which, you know, like, I understand an element of that because people misuse these statistics to like prove some sort of racist point.
yeah.
But
I also
simultaneously,
think like what okay, so we know these statistics, now what?
Right. Well,
It's like just saying statistics like that. It's like, Okay,
Well,
but
like, to-
what do we do with it? How does that advance the conversation?
Right. Like, to me, like, giving statistics like that without any sort of, like, explanation or, like, plan of action, like you're saying, is equally as offensive to me as people just saying, like, you know, like Gavin Newsom saying, you know, blacks and Latinos don't have checking accounts, and they you know, deal with predatory check cashing places and it's like, well, why? Like, what's your plan then? Like, okay, we know this.
Figure out
like,
how to solve it.
But it's like it's both ways. Like, the right wing will use statistics without any sort of plan of action of like helping or like any empathy, and it's equally as sociopathic on the other side of just like stating that these groups fail in some areas, and but the other side, like, just by saying they fail without any plan makes you seem like you're a good person, but objectively you're equally as sociopathic as the person that cites crime stats or whatever. But like, now we're on a tangent. So
anyways,
yeah.
Let's get back to the Game Grumps thing. So like, I do want to make the point though that like, so they were so quick to cancel him,
right?
And now nobody's gonna see the update that it wasn't true. However, I actually took 2 screenshots of Game Grumps comments today, and I'm very very happy to see this.
You're a big like, and I actually kind of predicted that this would be the case, like, because it's not young boys, like, because like most of their fan base is going to be under 18, right? And
I don't know
that
they've said before it's not. They say like 70% of it is actually above 18. That's like 18 to 28 or so.
But I would argue that it's primarily male, like, which we had this conversation the other night. So anyway.
But here, like, all of the comments are like, they almost address the fact of whatever Dan allegedly did, but they're jokes. It's like, are we just gonna ignore the fact that Dan killed his parents? Like, they've been saying like that. That song, what is that song? Baby Elephant Circus or whatever. They've been the Grumps have been like using that, using that song to make jokes. And then the next comment, guys, I'm not sure it's okay to watch Game Grumps anymore. Not after Dan killed the Prime Minister of Malaysia thanks to his brainwashing by Mugatu.
That's pretty good.
Next comment. Okay, are we just going to ignore the controversy that Dan was the real mastermind of does Bruno Mars is gay? I mean, come on. How many of us is had to know?
Yeah, so based. I mean,
I'll never forgive Dan for the murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Dan was the sole cause of World War One.
Why is everyone ignoring the fact that Dan helped his people fake the moon landing before he was even born? Come on, sheeple, wake up.
Yeah.
You know what? I forgive Dan for killing half of Russia, and I'm happy they posted without mentioning it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all the comments are in support of, they're like making jokes at the expense of this god awful movement. And I think this movement just like shows the excess of like
of feminism.
Of feminism and the Me Too movement, because it like completely strips all accountability and responsibility from women. When women are like, women above 18 are adults and have complete autonomy. It is pulling autonomy away from women to say that they can be groomed at 22 years old. You're an adult human being.
What's fascinating to me about the Me Too movement, and sort of like, you know, I guess we're probably like in 4th wave feminism at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, if I were an alien that visited this planet and was like, had feminism explained to me, like just based off of media or whatever, I would be like, oh, this gender is retarded. They are absolutely retarded. They are unable to make decisions for themselves. They're unable to protect themselves. And like, I don't know, like, it's curious to me that like the people who propagate this, who are primarily women that are like involved in this movement, like don't personally kind of feel insulted about their portrayal. Like, again, like,
exactly.
They just seem weak and stupid, and it's like,
and they've made it this way for themselves, though. The movement is meant to weaken them and make them look stupid or less autonomous.
And like also to diminish the value of being a more traditional woman who like has children and like raises children in lieu of like having a fucking girl boss career, which like good for women that want to do girl boss career thing, but like simultaneously it's not really something that should be lauded. Like,
right.
Being a CEO is objectively a gross position. You like,
but the thing
I don't
is,
understand why it's like it's vilified if it's a male that does it, and it's revered if it's like a sociopathic woman. Like I don't get it anymore.
Very, very strange. But like under feminism, the real thing that should exist is, or rather, like all shades of woman should exist. You should be able to have like trad wife all the way to psychopathic girl boss CEO.
Right.
We should have every type of woman under feminism. But that's kind of not the attitude.
Like, what is more feminist though than like having children and like literally you are a wizard that can make people come out of your cunt. I mean, that is like a crazy it's a crazy thing.
It really is insane, yeah.
And like it's a miracle. I mean, for real.
I'm jealous, yeah.
Yeah. And
I wish I could do that.
Right, you know, but this is seen as weakness, but simultaneously like feminism views that as weakness. But also according to this wave of feminism, I guess, like I said, like we're on the fourth, women are, according to them, like I said about like I was an alien, they are weak and stupid and have no autonomy over their body or their decisions. So, but anyway,
based on how the movement has led us to believe,
right? Yeah. And like the fact that this grooming thing would come about for this guy, for Dan from Game Grumps, it's like. So is he like 40? Like how old is he?
He's I think like 40, 42.
And so, okay. So like just objectively speaking, like without any of these accusations coming out, like most of your female fan base is going to be very young, right? And so when did this grooming thing happen where it's objectively unacceptable for a older male to sleep with a younger woman? Like, because if the genders are reversed, it's not a problem at all. In fact, like, I mean, even look at teachers who fuck underage students. It is totally covered differently. Like, it is seen as like cutesy. It's like, oh, she made a mistake.
It is totally,
right.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
Women really have to start admitting that they have a ton of fucking privilege. I mean, like it's like, but people, you know, it's like I was talking to you about this the other day, like of how like I started to notice this shit. Like I'm 30 now. Like I started to notice this shit when I was like 22. So like 2012, I was like, it was like primarily with the trans movement and like sort of the excesses of that.
Well, right, because they're a part of our movement by association.
And it was when it was if I didn't want to sleep with a trans person, I was transphobic, and I'm like, fuck you. Like, fuck you. No. Like, that is, like, literally my sexual orientation has to do with the parts that are attached to the person. Like, that is, like, primarily the issue here. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. But, like, also then feminism sort of, like, started to be this weird thing. And but it's interesting because it's, like, people aren't really saying things out loud. But instinctually, people seem to know this is getting really fucking gay. And I wish I could have told myself at 22 when I was like spinning my wheels and gears and like getting pissed about this stuff that it will start to work itself out. You know, like just look, you little 22-year-old asshole, like relax. It'll be fine. Because like people, like I lost friendships over just like saying like this shit's fucking ridiculous. Like just because everyone wants to be on the right side of history. And I knew that it was the wrong side of it, you know, and this is like an example of it. Like, this didn't work. It did not work. And like what was crazy too is like so that one liar, which is what she is, she was a fucking liar, came out, and then people were like on the out of the loop thing, like the top comment was, and then anonymous people came out and accused him of whatever. And it's like they don't matter then. If you're anonymous, you don't matter. Like in terms of like an accusation, like if you don't say who you are or like what happened or where, it doesn't matter. I don't want to hear from you.
Well, there are no stakes coming out anonymously, and
it's like
there's
being
no way
non-binary.
to prove otherwise, you know? Like, if I got anonymously accused of anything, it's like, okay, who are you? Because if I did that to you, I would remember. If I had your name, I would know where we were, when it was, like, you know, that kind of thing. So, like, yeah, these anonymous accusations, stupid. But that's kind of it for the Game Grumps thing. It was so quick to happen and so quick to end.
Yeah, you know? and which I'm grateful for. And I remember like when it first started to happen and you brought it up, I was like, he better not fucking apologize. I swear to God. Because like that's the big question I have to you too. Like, why, when these things happen, do people apologize? Why? Like, if they know they're in the right, like, why even make a statement?
Right.
Like, literally, you could just ignore it, and what has happened in the media has happened, which is like a couple mass shootings happen and nobody fucking cares about this anymore.
Right.
Isn't it crazy that like COVID's kind of like being over and then like mass shootings just have suddenly started to happen again?
Yeah, absolutely.
We are back to normal, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's what the Biden presidency said they would do.
They would
bring things back to normal.
We're going to
and they
build
have.
back better with mass shootings.
COVID's not going to kill you anymore.
It'll be apparently
It's-
white supremacy, which none of these things have been.
It's that
too.
it's that Tim Dillon tweet. He tweeted like get the vaccine for COVID so you can go and get shot in a mass shooting.
Right. Right.
It's so fucking true. But also speaking of rape, this is the rape
The rape podcast. Yeah.
Bill Clinton is meeting with Kamala Harris on Friday to talk about how the pandemic has affected women.
Okay. Which is like,
I didn't realize this podcast was going to be so women centric.
well, I think like most
This
of them
is
are
centering
and
female voices.
I think that after the royal family thing, Kate bailed. Like, I think that we've lost like the one woman we have, like other than my friend who we're going to talk to on our next podcast, who like is not offended by like. I only want to like again like that thing of like cultivating an audience that will cancel you so fast. Like, I have women in my life that I adore, but they're the ones that can take shit from me and throw it back and vice versa. Like, I'm sick of this, like, it's like this untouchable thing. And also, you guys are more than 50% of the population. So, like, fuck off. Like, I don't want to. Okay. So, this whole thing is, like, crazy to me because COVID killed way more men than women. Like,
Yes.
women were not nearly as, like, so if you were to just guess, what are they going to talk about? Like, taking aside, we'll talk about, like, why it's fucking bizarre that Bill Clinton is the choice to talk to women. But what do you think they're going to talk about? Like, what would they possibly have to say on this issue?
I could not tell you. What insight could Bill Clinton possibly have about women that isn't outdated and based in fucking rape ideology? Like, he's an abuser, a known abuser.
Yeah, speaking of like grooming, the whole country, the whole world knows this guy literally participated in having sex with young girls, underage girls that were sex trafficked. And he's going to have any comment about any situation regarding women. Like, do you feel like sometimes the Biden administration and like what they do are like fucking with us? It's like a joke.
Maybe.
Like, I literally sometimes like there's been like a few things over the last few months where I'm like, you're fucking with us, right? Like, you have to be fucking with us. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they thinking? Like, are these people like? It's two things. Like, either they're like, and it's literally these only two options. Either number one, they're fucking with us, or they are so entirely out of touch with what people, like real people, know and understand. Like, dude, like, Dershowitz, like all these people that were connected to Epstein, maybe could have a plausible excuse. Bill Clinton is the only one where there is no possible way that he can not be seen as a fucking pedophile. I mean, like, for real. And his whole presidency ended because he insisted on having an intern suck his dick in the Oval Office. I mean, what? And,
Right.
and the only reason why this event makes sense is somebody who is equally as sociopathic as Bill Clinton, other than his wife, is Kamala Harris. And so it fits perfectly that they're doing this.
Right. It's so funny to me. And why do we even need this fucking seminar, summit, whatever the fuck? Why do we need this? Who cares? People died. 500,000 people died. The vast majority of them were men. How is this affecting it? There's no reason for us to believe that women were more greatly affected by COVID than men.
They literally objectively were not.
And this is not a gender issue.
No.
Why is everything now a gendered issue? This is a human issue. People died regardless of whatever the fuck, and it mostly had to do with their health. It doesn't have to do with their gender.
It's insane to me that a virus that was accidentally leaked, either accidentally or on purpose, leaked from a lab in Wuhan in Minecraft, became a political issue, and then now has become a gender. Even when the articles are written, kind of in the height of it, like let's say like 4 months in or whatever, where they were like, "Dude, men are getting decimated by this." It was It was always like angled as, "But what about us? It's women. Enough from you."
Yeah.
We have like, dude, like. Look, peace and love to the gender. Like, I love my mother. I'm a gay boy we're all mama's boys. We love our moms.
Yes, of course.
And like I said, the women that I love in my life are super based on this issue. But the women that control the intelligentsia and the zeitgeist and the conversation that happens in this country they have sucked every ounce of oxygen out of the room. Enough from you. We have heard so much from these women, and it's like any woman that's like listening to this, you would listen to this because you understand what I'm saying. It's not you, but the onus is kind of on you, the women that would listen to this, to tell these women to shut the fuck up. Like you are embarrassing an entire gender. Like it is getting to the point to where it's like, the opposite of what you want to be seen as, which is like weak and pathetic, and like using like being a keyboard warrior to to diminish. I don't know anymore. I don't get like, well, I do know what it is. Like all these dumb idiots have to even though everything is like as equal as it can be. Like, you're never going to be bigger or tougher. You will be more subject to violence and rape. I mean, like, that is just the reality of your size. I mean, like, you have no choice. Like, that is like your lot in life, right? But, like, in terms of what society can do to make you equal, it's done. But all these fucking assholes that work in media that only talk about these issues have to validate their position and their job and their paycheck, and so they just won't stop. It's like the human rights campaign. Same thing. It's like once like gay marriage was the only issue, and then once that was passed, there was nothing left to talk about anymore. And then it became this nebulous thing about like trans violence that like statistically doesn't really line up. Like as you're more like, but they never actually get to the root of it. Of like if you're in sex work, you're more likely to be assaulted, which is why, like, I think sex work should be legal, like, and protected and these kinds of things, but they never go that far. It's always just like, they just throw out this stupid platitude shit of protect trans black women. And you're like, okay, well, I'm looking at the data, and if you're a black trans woman, you're equally as likely to die because you're black at a higher rate than any other race at the hands of another black person. And like, we don't really know if it's a hate crime or not, because they would have to be calling you tranny while they fucking curb stomp you. I mean, it's like all this noise to accomplish nothing, absolutely nothing. And so, and like this theater is exactly why this event with Bill Clinton and Kamala Harris is my only conclusion is that they are literally fucking with us. Like, I can't think of why this would happen. Like, and it's gonna be like stupid literally no one will talk about it. But it's like
nothing will get said.
No, but the media just astroturfs everything this administration does, which again we knew that this would happen. Which is like why the Trump administration was more interesting, because like the amount of hatred that they had for him, either rationally or not, made them cover everything he did, either insanely or objectively. But like generally, like what was the thing you pulled up today with Kamala Harris, where it was this weird sort of like getting in, like, oh, she didn't like salute.
She didn't salute military personnel, and people like rightoids like complained about it on Twitter, and then the top news story the next day is Twitter saying there is no legislation in place that says Kamala Harris has to salute, that the president or vice president have to salute military personnel.
And why even bother? I mean, like,
what a waste of air.
Yeah,
space,
like, I mean,
digital area.
The average person, like, I would say, you know, whatever Ridewood was angry about it, I would say, like, 285 million Americans do not give a fuck if she salutes them or not.
Right.
Nobody cares. But the fact that their insistence on just fucking putting foam around every element of this whole administration, like, dude, even Biden somehow falling upstairs, which I've never seen anyone accomplish in my whole life. Like, when Trump shuffled down a ramp, they were like, oh, he's had a fucking stroke.
Yeah.
When Biden somehow manages to fall up a flight of stairs, which in my lifetime, I have never seen that happen. I mean, that was crazy.
That's never happened to you?
No. Like, what? I've tripped once. I've tripped three consecutive times to where, like, I'm still going up the stairs while I'm tripping. I have never ever in my life seen that.
That's crazy to me, yeah.
And then it became, they were trying to twist it into, like, look at the funny memes that came out of Joe Biden, his brain melting in real time on TV, like, to the point, like, him falling on the stairs wasn't funny to me. It was sad. It was, like, real, like, I thought about, like, my parents falling, like, which they're, like, 70 now, and, like, you know, it made me, like, bummed out, but it's like, look how cute this old doddering, dementiaed out asshole is. Like, it is...
Right.
It is getting to the point to where I'm like, I wake up every day and I see this coverage of him and her, and I'm like, did I die? And I'm like living in a simulation now. Like, you know, it is so bizarre and so state media. Like, we've already talked about this, but it's like, I didn't think after we initially talked about this with the Kamala Harris thing and her fucking stepdaughter, who is like now a model somehow.
Good fucking Lord, yeah.
That it would get weirder. And it gets weirder every day. And it's like Noam Chomsky wrote this book about, like, manufacturing consent, and I gotta say, like, he called it. I mean, this is, but I in my voting lifetime, which, like, my first election I could vote in was Obama's first term, and I voted for him. Like, I could not have, because it was so framed at the time that it was Democrats are good people, Republicans are bad people.
Yeah,
and that was the first time I started to notice that, but it really accelerated, you know, over the last 20 years.
Yes.
And dude, I mean, there is so much cultural influence in terms of just media alone that pads every element of the Democratic Party. Like, it is a fucking cult now. Like, to the point where it's like, dude, this is not even close to a democracy. I mean, it's over. Like, it has been over for a while. I mean, like, really, the advent of the super PAC and whatever, like, really ended democracy in this country. But holy shit, man. Like, I mean, people are being fed the craziest, most unconvincing propaganda I've ever seen in my life, but it still convinces them. And
yeah,
I don't know.
So we're more than halfway through his first 100 days. In the first 100 days, yeah, Biden's dogs got removed from the White House and now they're back, according to Craig. Let's think about what he's accomplished.
Right.
Not a single thing that I can mention has been done other than, like, stimulus checks that took over a month to come out, even though he said day one he would do them.
Right, and in $2,000, which he kept saying over and over and over again, and then they, again, manufactured consent to make everyone convinced that it was, oh, the $600 was a down payment, which, by the way, the $600 happened under Trump, not him.
Yeah, exactly. What is so funny to me is, yeah, like, the people trying to defend, the same people who were saying, when Biden's in office, we'll just push him to the left. All of those stupid activists on Twitter, we'll just push him left. We'll get him in the White House and we'll push him left. And now they're like, well, it's just his first 100 days. Let's wait a little while and then we can push him left. Oh, the midterms are going to come up. Let's wait for those to happen and then we'll push him left. It's
right.
Like, it's never happening.
Which is, you know, which is the meme, right? Like, you know, but it, like, he's governing. I mean, like, just in terms of foreign policy, like, he is governing way to the right of even Trump. I mean, like, we are back in the Middle East, baby. Like, I mean,
yep,
like,
and probably will be until November at the very. They said they were gonna
like we're just there forever. I mean, like, we are never leaving Afghanistan ever. It's never happening. So, like, And again, like I think Pompeo's a ghoul, and Trump certainly was in many ways, but like basically all the Taliban wanted, which again was a military force and an insurgent group that we funded, created, armed during the Mujahideen, like, whatever. We've already talked about this.
Yeah, of course. Ad nauseum.
We created ISIS and the Taliban. Like we did it. So like all they really wanted was to have a political voice in the country in terms of elections. And then Pompeo was like, "That's all you want?" They're like, "Yeah." And then we were like, "Okay, like fuck it." So you got it, and we're out of here. And then that was starting to sort of, and then the Pentagon lied to Trump about how, like that is crazy that they lied to him about how many troops were there. Like that should have been a massive scandal. But again, because some reason, I still to this day wonder why did Trump scare them so badly? Like what do you see?
Greg's comment. I'm going to ask you a very fair question. What do you do successfully? Quickly. And that's Bianca Del Rio. That is winner of season 5 Drag Race.
I love that you guys know these things.
I think it's season 5. That's a great season. What do you do successfully?
And kind of
silence.
Speaking of drag queens, Trump was pretty close. I mean, like, let's be real in terms of like makeup and optics. I mean, he was on on fleek, you know,
Nice.
as the kids say. Yeah.
Nice.
That fell out of fashion really fast on fleek. No one says that shit anymore. But I don't know. Yeah. So like, what has he accomplished? Okay. So we have the border crisis is worse than ever. We have now rebranded these.
We are now imprisoning border crossing children in migrant overflow migrant facilities,
which is very cute. It's like, and it's so funny. Like, this is like what partisan groups do. It's like, you know, they rebrand things. It's like, you know, the inheritance tax or the death tax. It's like Republicans call it death tax, inheritance tax.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like they
climate change, global warming.
Right. Yeah. Because global warming, which, you know, in fairness, they did use that fucking stupid term for a long time on the left. But yeah, so like, I mean, really, everything's gotten worse. And like, again, like, you know, we said this like very early on, like in the pandemic or whatever, of like fucking economic thing that's coming. Like we've been really artificially floating the economy, but dude, it is like, so like unemployment plus ups last till September, and they are not going to give anything else after September. I know it. It is going to get fucking dark. And so like, and again, like, you know, I what the Democrats could hope for, because like in terms of optics to the average person, it's like, okay, so like they like just the average person got $1,400, and the vaccine rollout has been intense. I mean, like they've really, like, I think like 1 in 6 Americans are now vaccinated, which is like pretty crazy. But you know, they're like, which every administration does. It's like if they inherit a bad economy, even though it's still their fault, they'll blame it on the previous administration. And, you know, Trump's warp speed thing is largely why they were able to roll out vaccines this quickly, even despite kind of ghoulish pharmaceutical companies that patent these things and made record profits off of it. So, yeah, I mean, like in terms of like the two things people want, which is money and the vaccine, he's done good about that. But I'm telling you, dude, like when September rolls around, it's gonna get dark, and they'll have so much shit to answer for, and they will have no fucking solutions. And so, yeah, I mean, it's so gay because we know what's gonna happen. It's just gonna be red wave in the midterms. I mean, like it's just,
it always is in the midterms.
Yeah, though. But it's gonna be, I think, like it's gonna be biblical.
Literally. Yeah.
So,
wow.
I don't know. What do you think he's accomplished?
I could not say politically, but culturally, I think he has really made a lot of people who were once powerhouses of like progress now into complacent little cucks.
Dude, for real. Like Bernie astroturfing for him is like, it's to the point where it's like, I'm like, it's like watching like a pathetic like BDSM video. You're like, dude, like
enough with the ball crushing,
dude. Like have some self-respect, you fucking
take
cuck.
off
Jesus.
the ball gag.
So, like, and it is fascinating to me, like why there are like two very weird things happening right now, and it's like, you know, number one is that, which is like people on the like to the left of Biden, like to the like much like because you know Biden's a center right Republican. I mean, really, like in terms of like governance and whatever else. You know, why are progressives? Why are they doing this? Like for him, like I mean, troop escalation in the Middle East alone should be a hard fucking line for progressives. Like just fuck you, dude. Fuck you. No.
I think like progressives like truly overestimated the liberty they would have to make change as soon as we had a blue presidency.
They had to have known. They like because we knew, and we're not in politics.
I know. I think people like that are just so hopelessly optimistic, and so like people like fucking Kristen Sinema or whatever the fuck. There are more of her than we can possibly imagine in Congress, and they will always be that way, because they're shills for whatever the party wants them to be, for whatever Nancy Pelosi wants them to be. And so no progress can ever be made. No matter how many, like we need, if progressives want to make change, people like that just need to go, but it's never going to happen.
No.
Because the vast majority of voters do not want, like in places like Arizona, which is like red purple, they don't want progressives.
Well, it's weird.
Well, they want progressive things done,
but
they don't realize that they need to vote for a progressive to do it.
But progressive candidates don't have the amount of money as like,
yeah.
And so like, and what I think has been like the biggest black pill over the last few years, like the last even 10 years, is like watching how simple-minded the average voter is, and how, you know, like Gavin Newsom's recall, like what they're going for in the ads is that it's entirely an alt-right QAnon conspiracy.
I'm
like,
glad we're part of the alt-right now.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude.
And it's kind of working, which is like, dude, I've just lost all faith in the voter. And like the fact that a fucking ad can convince you to vote against your self-interest is, I mean, I give up. I mean, I mean, really, like it's over. Like we are watching the demise of an empire. I mean, it's just, it's over. And so, yeah. So like, and then the other thing too, like, so I like said the two things is this incessant need, and I'm curious as to what your guess is to why like everything has to be tied to white supremacy. Like why?
Yeah.
So this,
I mean, you showed me a tweet yesterday of what was her name?
Amy Siskind, but even like, and she's just a fucking Hillary shill, like kind of like Charlotte Clymer. I mean, just a total fucking annoying mouthpiece. But I mean, like even Ilhan Omar, you know, tweeted like they were like, oh, we know it's a white man. We know it's a white man, and it's a fucking Muslim guy. And like, also, who cares? Like, what's crazy to me is like this incessant need from the mostly liberal intelligentsia in some if not all the right to claim the motive, like ideological motives or the race of these mass shooters,
right,
proves to me that you give no fucks about the people that died, which is honest. You know, like just admit it. Like it's kind of like what I said about like the 500,000 or whatever that have died of COVID. Like I don't really care because they're nobody that I know. I mean, like, and that people need to start being really honest about this. It's like you don't really care about the people that died because you don't know them. You can feign empathy or whatever, but ultimately what it came down to, and it was so glaringly obvious, was that you were just desperately hoping it would not be the tribe that you pretend to protect, which would be on the left, like Muslims, you know? So I don't really give a shit like that, who did, like who or why. Like, I don't really care that Dylan Roof was a white supremacist. I mean, like I care that something drove this, like the mental health crisis that is not being addressed in this country drove this fucking bowl-cutted retard to go shoot up a black church. Like, that's what I care about. And again, like the annoying part about like all this stuff that happens in the world, like in this country in particular, is that it's all this fucking noise to create division. So nobody has to actually address something that would result in material change. They cannot allow material change to happen. They can't. And I don't know why. Like, what would be the actual cost of real free mental health care? Like, and like also to like subsidizing drugs. You know, like I can't get certain drugs that don't even have a patent anymore for under like $100, some of them.
Right.
And it's like, why? What are we doing? Like, things that would objectively improve people's life, including myself, are so prohibitively expensive. So you can't claim to be outraged or heartbroken over these events when there is no incentive to finance help that would prevent these things from happening in the first place. But they go to things that are divisive and stupid, like it's guns or like whatever. You know, stop it with the gun thing. Stop it. We said a million times, there are more guns than people. You're not going to unfuck this problem. It's over. You know, liberals love to talk about this common sense, and it's always just like, it just fucks over people that legally own them. Like,
And the people who don't legally own them, it won't change it, because the people who don't legally own them are the ones who are probably more likely to commit crime with those guns.
Exactly. And, you know, like, we have to accept the fact in this country and just be honest on both sides of, like, we are, if we put governors on cars that made them only drive 35 miles an hour, people wouldn't die that often from car accidents. But, you know, if we restricted what people could eat, we wouldn't have an obesity crisis that, by the way, kills way more people than guns could ever imagine of killing. But we live in a nation of liberty and freedom to make horrible decisions if you choose to do it, which is like, you know, driving 95 miles an hour in Los Angeles. You know, like you can make these choices that might result in your death. So we are a country that has guns, and like we are a gun-rooted country, and that presents danger, but also protection for people that choose to have them. I mean, like, this conversation is over. Like, we're done having this conversation. But like, what is never addressed, which goes to all the things I just mentioned, is public health.
Yeah.
And like, we just saw something this morning on Rising about, like, which is why we put the cum glazed donut all over Bill Clinton's mouth.
Wait, it's cum?
Yeah. To me, it was cum. About how
Krispy Kreme will be offering you a free donut if you show your vaccination card.
And 78% of Americans that were hospitalized due to COVID, their comorbidity was being obese, which we have been saying since March of last year, that it is fatties. It's fatties and old people. We fucking know it. Like, and look, like, I want you to be able to do whatever you want to do. If you want to eat horrible shit, if you want to drink in excess like I do, like, you can do these things. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to hear about how, like, the massive deaths in this country. It's like, that is an absolute result of this country being the most obese place in the world. I mean, like, we are a country of consumerism that only does it in excess, like, of everything. And so, like, we have to, as a country, start to admit that the obese in this country are a fucking burden. And, like, we can't accomplish any health incentives when we don't ever talk about public health. Like, our fucking food pyramid is still a fucking lie.
Yes, I know. And we're still taught that as children. Like, the food pyramid, it's education, it's availability of food, it's all these things, but it all comes down really to, like, one, education, and two, poverty. Like, people who make less money are more likely to eat shit food, more likely to be obese, and in many cases, it's not their fault. And that's when the government needs to fucking step in.
Because the average person doesn't know that, like, you know, fast food, for example, is literally designed to get you addicted to it. Like there is a ton of sugar in it and a ton of salt that like doesn't need to be there. And like your brain reacts to these two chemicals by saying, I need more. And you know, we saw, we drove by McDonald's, like now accepting EBT. Like that was the only, like, that was the
on the marquee.
That
outside
was
the
only
McDonald's
thing it said is we take food stamps.
Now accepting food stamps, yeah.
Which is bizarre because, like, you know, both of us have dealt with CalFresh. You can't, which is like our version of like WIC or what's the other name for it? What you know, like
it's called Snap.
Snap.
As well,
that's the other one, yeah. You cannot buy hot food anywhere. Like meaning like you can only use the card to buy items to like
to prepare food. Yeah.
But somehow, by no surprise to anybody, the massive conglomerate corporations have gotten around this food stamp program to be able to sell you pre-prepared hot food that you can buy with Snap or WIC. And it's so glaringly obvious of what's going on. And like, dude, I mean, it's like, yeah, like it is great that fast food is so cheap and so calorically dense, but people don't really realize that one Big Mac is 2 meals worth of calories. I mean, like, and I'm not like a calories in, calories out kind of guy. Like, I think that like it really is about what what you eat. Like, you know, a soda, like 180 calories worth like of a soda is not the same as 180 calories of almonds. I mean, like they're just not the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but nobody like what, like 320 million people live here. Like I would say 300 million have no idea. They have no idea. And like also too, like the lie is the calories in, calories out thing. It's like people who diet, it's like they have to like go into these starvation things and they wonder why they yo-yo. It's like, it like this is all entirely by design. Like, because this country is driven on people consuming and either it's in their mouth or their cum or like, it is just everything.
Literally though, like consuming infinite amounts of pornography is similar to consuming infinite amounts of food. It's excess. It's American abundance that has put us here, and we can't do anything just a little bit here.
No. So sorry, it's like so doomery. But like, I mean, that's kind of like why we didn't want to do one last week. It was just kind of like everything is like playing out so according to the plan.
Yeah. That
like I kind of don't even have an angle on it anymore, other than just to like tell all of you what you already know. You know, like especially if you've been listening to us for a long time, but like also you found us because you understand the plan. You know, and so what is it really to say?
Yeah.
You know,
I have one more thing before we end it off.
Sure.
Late last night, I don't even know if you remember this. Oh no, maybe it was the night before. I think it was the night before. So you would remember it. At my job, I'm a Twitch streamer. For some reason, the chat was talking about Surf's Up, that fucking movie about penguins surfing. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Surf's Up.
Yeah.
But that is the second time in the last month that somebody has brought up that movie, and many people in the chat were talking about it.
Is it kind of turning into the B movie like joke?
It might be.
Yeah.
But people were talking about fucking Surf's Up, and I'm like, that dumb penguin movie, and everybody was like, it's so good. And then my friend Tara was talking about Surf's Up. She was like, oh yeah, I watch it like every other night. And it's like, okay, Surf's Up, is it as good as Happy Feet, or is it as good as March of the Penguins? Like, what are all these other penguin movies?
Right.
Like, why is there a genre of penguin movies? And so I was coming up with a poll on Twitch to like determine what the best penguin movie is. I looked up other penguin movies, and the first result was Batman Returns, 1992. Which, if you guys have not seen Batman Returns is about, well, the characters in it are Batman, Catwoman, and the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito.
Who might be the closest humanoid representation to the build of a penguin?
He's such a versatile actor.
He is, yeah.
So my question to you is Batman Returns, 1992, considered a penguin movie? Let's think of all the penguin movies that exist. March of the Penguins, Penguins of Madagascar, Surf's Up, Happy Feet, Penguins of Madagascar 2, A Christmas Caper.
Is that really a movie?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Is Batman Returns a Penguin movie?
Yeah.
Because okay, so I think so too. But like people who were trying to argue against it were forgetting the fact that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It's absolutely it's the best Christmas movie of all time. Yeah.
So we also have to think about what determines something to be a penguin movie. And I think this is because a penguin is one of the main characters of the movie.
It's the main antagonist of the movie.
Antagonist of the movie is a penguin. It's
Right.
not like there's a penguin in the movie making it a
Well, there
penguin
are.
movie.
I mean, like he's in his little lair with penguins.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, if there was just like, if there's a movie where the main character goes to a zoo and sees a penguin exhibit, that doesn't make it a penguin movie.
No.
But this is a penguin movie.
Well,
because one of the main characters is a penguin.
because like what are the
penguin.
what are the odds of any movie having a penguin for no reason? Like low. It's very low.
Yeah.
So based on just cinema in general, to have a penguin occupy even more than 20% of the movie makes it a penguin movie.
Okay, that's the determining factor then.
Yeah. If a penguin is on screen for more than 20% of the movie, it's a penguin movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion. In my humble opinion.
Batman Returns is the penguin in Batman Returns is definitely Jerry Nadler.
Oh my god! Do you remember that video where he shit his pants? Yeah, and like waddled off like a
on
penguin.
stage? Yeah, that's definitely him. So I'm here to say that Batman Returns 1992 is the greatest penguin movie of all time.
I'm and
Better than Surf's Up, Happy Feet, Surf's Up 2.
yeah. Sorry, Dalreese is a big Surf's Up fan, but like we gotta say, Batman Returns is the best penguin movie that's ever existed. Yeah, and yeah, like I mean, like my criteria for a penguin movie would be, like I said, 20% of the movie occupying a penguin is on screen, because
Yes.
there is no reason, unless it's a penguin movie, for that to happen. And again, like having showed you Die Hard around Christmas, you cannot admit that is like, you have to admit that is the best Christmas movie of all time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people who are closed-minded about this need to reimagine what it means to be a Christmas movie or what it means to be a penguin movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm with you.
Thank
I
you.
think it is. Yeah.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
of course.
I got a lot of flack for this.
Yeah. Well, people are plebes, and they don't. They're like simple-minded rubes that don't understand what makes penguin cinema penguin cinema.
And then I ran a poll of the top 5 penguin movies. It was Penguins of Madagascar, Happy Feet, Surf's Up, March of the Penguins, and Batman Returns. Those 5 movies, I ran a poll. It came down to the top 2. Batman Returns and Happy Feet, surprisingly, even though the conversation started with Surf's Up. In the end, it was rigged, and Happy Feet ended up winning.
They were only doing it to betray you.
And I refuse to believe.
I don't accept those results.
I don't either. I
yeah.
need to run another poll.
I think Dominion was running your polling machines.
Shadow
Inc.
Inc. or whatever.
Yeah. So no, I think that you were a victim of fraud, and Batman Returns is who plays Catwoman in that? Is it?
I don't know if it was Angelina Jolie. At that point.
She would have been a baby person in '92. Didn't
she play Catwoman? At some point, who did?
No, I think
Halle Berry.
She did eventually in that terrible movie. But let me look actually, because I want to say it's like one of those '90s stars. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of bombshell women.
Yeah.
Batman.
Helen Hunt.
She was never like a
I know.
She was like always the kind of more attractive than not mom. Michelle Pfeiffer. That makes sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because like Angelina Jolie in '92 would have been like, she's like what, like 50 now. She would have been like, I guess like, she wouldn't like not. I don't think she would have been like 18 or like anything at that point. But yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer makes sense. But yes, so next week's going to be kind of a different episode. We're going to have on my friend Shannon Torrance, who is a voice actress, and she
has a podcast called Magic is Real. It's on
Yes.
YouTube. You can look up Magic is Real with Shannon Torrance.
I make all the intros for her, and we're going to talk about mediums and spiritual stuff. And
I'm very excited.
it's going to be
about
really
it.
fun, I think.
Yeah.
Like just a change of pace.
If you want to take a listen to her podcast, I highly recommend it. I actually listened to a few episodes on my drive to and from work. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Really, really nice.
And she's a really, really good friend of ours, and so I'm really excited to do this. So it'll be a total change of pace from politics, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes, you guys have heard a little bit about our spirituality and stuff. We're not like Christians. We're not like God-fearing Christians.
No,
or
but like
whatever.
I do.
But we do have a little bit.
Yeah, I do find, like I'm very much a believer that, when you die, it's that's sort of it. It's kind of like blackness or whatever, which I'm very peaceful with. But I do kind of like to entertain the idea that there might be something else. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about.
Fun. I'm so excited. So
All
please tune in next week. We'll be here Wednesday, 5 p.m. next week. Also, if you feel like it, you can check out our Twitter. It's Fruit Basket Pod, I believe. You can check out our Patreon, which is in the description as well. And we're also on Spotify, SoundCloud, the podcast app, Anchor FM. I think those are all of them.
Yeah. And like, subscribe.
Yes.
Share,
See you guys soon.
Adios.
Bye. I did not expect this. We didn't really have a whole lot to talk about.